JohnR with the Creative Spark.
I don't know about you, but as a kid, I was told, oh, you're the engineer. Don't worry about art. You're the engineer. Worry about science and math. Don't worry about art. The artists are over here. They're the creatives. They're over here. You're over here. And never the two shall meet. I was very frustrated by this because I wanted to do the art. I wanted to do these amazing, cool, creative things that enabled people to paint and draw and sculpt and woodwork and do all of these cool, artistic, creative designs. Yet my family and the education system shepherded me away from it. And I really struggled with this, thinking in my mind that I could not do art because I should just be doing tangible things, the concrete type stuff, and actually a lot of stuff with concrete. This really frustrated me for quite a while until high school. And I finally took a bunch of different art classes. And my first art class, the instructor, she really hated my guts because I would challenge her on stuff and ask her, why do we do this? Why do we paint this way? And she went, well, this is just the way it is. And as for me, I really struggle when somebody says, this is the way it is, without giving any reason behind it. So we butted heads. I became an all right painter in there. And then there was a potential gallery showing to go, and we could potentially win like a $5,000 prize, which would have made a huge difference for me at that time. So it became down to myself and one other student. And the instructor, she held on to our artwork. Well, I go to check out my artwork and she had graded somebody's paper on the painting and like put the paper down on the painting and scratched all the way through it. And so I lost the competition because I had scratch marks from a pen all the way through my painting, kind of soul crushing. And so for a little bit I went, no, I'm never doing art again. And that held me back. So I finally went back into art a little bit more. Took another class, it was digital animation stuff, and got to get a little creative with it. But I went into engineering, didn't touch art much for years, and then I finally started trying to be more creative with it. Doodles and little sketches I had done from time to time, but when I went back into school and was going to school at Lane, I had to take an art class. So I took one, got along great with the instructor, and he just went, have you really ever played with art? And it's like, no. And he's like, okay, dude, you're going to get a great grade in here. You're totally diligent. It'll be fine. I want you to play. I want you to experiment and have fun. One of my favorite moments is you're taking, was it sumi ink, I think, so you're using, it's like a Japanese style of calligraphy brush, and you put that on a paper and then you can blow on the ink. And there'll be kind of fractal patterns that flow out from where the water drops go. And you can kind of turn the page and blow in different directions, and you're getting these really intricate, interwoven patterns. I was hooked. Probably like 70 pages of these patterns later. And then I realized I had an assignment and I needed to get on it. That was kind of the impetus of figuring out that you don't need to be good at something in art in order to enjoy it. And then the more you do it, of course, you're going to improve, which I know from other aspects of life. But I don't know if any of you have ever not started something something creative because you were too afraid of being bad at it, being incompetent with it, being a beginner. That's the only way you start something, is being a beginner. So I finally broke through some mental barriers with that, and that art is wonderful. Yesterday I was rearranging some stuff in my garage, and I went back through and I had some of my artwork from that class, and it hit me that I've continued to be artistic, and it's been wonderful. Now I do wood burnings on cutting boards, and I make custom cutting boards with different etchings and stuff for friends of mine that are getting married or moving into houses and that type of stuff. So trying to let out the artistic side in a fun, free-form way that is a little bit unique, a little bit my own, and a little bit different. what my challenge to you, because I know George really struggles with his art form of being a musician and then sharing it with people. And it's been cool to see him blossom over the last couple of years into going and giving performances at the community center, Campbell Community Center, and then going and doing jam sessions online, and then getting into being a musical accompaniment for different bands. George is a wonderful example of somebody who has started an art form, not been super confident with it, then got better and better, and has gained his confidence step by step, and he's really demonstrating it. So George, thank you for being an example to us of succeeding with it. It was really cool hearing George talk about going to a conference on banjo playing, and like you're jamming out about it and talking about all these phenomenal banjo players, and you were right there with them learning. So my challenge to you today is to think back on something that you've wanted to try art-wise and just do it. You don't need all the proper materials or proper supplies. Improvise. Dig into your recycle bin, grab out some cardboard, grab a hot glue gun or Elmer's glue, whatever, put something together, make a model, make something, make just a pile of stuff and see what it looks like. Going and being creative in that type of thing, that type of environment can allow you to unlock yourself. Who here has heard of Neil Gaiman, the author? It's like Graveyard Book and like $100 Stories, the kind of a science fiction fantasy author who does poetry as well. And one of his best works that I'll link in the chat that I really enjoy is the commencement speech he gave about make good art. And he talks about kind of the artistic process and how to get through barriers, and then how to kind of use that journey to get you to the beyond where you ever thought you could go. So my encouragement to you is to go out and make good art. And good art is subjective. Good art doesn't need to be good for anybody else. It's just good for you. It's good for you inside. It's good for you in here. And it's good for you with your physical hands. Or hands, feet, whatever you want to do. Dancing is art too. Whatever you want to do, I encourage you, go out and make some good art, because it will help you become the best version of yourself, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. I didn't realize that you were a budding artist also. It's great. Frankly, I'm one of those who does not usually think of engineers as being artists. It's a stereotype, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but everything you touch that has been made by human hands or any manufacturing process is because that engineer was an artist.
That's right.
Think about that. Yeah.
Take a minute and send a note to John, and then we'll move on to our evaluations.